Welcome to the third in the Onshape video tutorial series on drawing the C skateboard project at Bryanston School. In this video we're going to make the gasket that fits between the trucks and the skateboard deck. So we'll go into our folder where we've got our previous file saved, open up our skateboard model. We're actually going to use the skateboard model to help us create the sketch for the gasket. So the first thing we're going to do is to create a new work plane, and that work plane is going to be offset from the top plane. So I'm going to right click on the top plane and I'm going to show it. If you remember in the last video we showed how we could hide them, so you just about see that it's in there, and because we can't actually access it in the model, we'll do it from over here. So we'll right click on it and we'll select offset plane. Now at the moment you can see that it's trying to do it above the board. We want it to go below the board or below the deck, so we're going to hit the arrow to swap the direction, and we're going to change the dimension, the distance, to 9mm, and then left click to confirm that. We're now going to spin that around holding the right mouse button down and select that work plane, right click and then left click on new sketch, or we could do the same over here on plane 2. We could right click and select new sketch. Press N to view onto the work plane, and it doesn't matter if this appears with us looking down on the model or looking up at the model from the underside. The process will be the same, so if yours flips around slightly differently, don't worry. The first thing we're going to do is create the 4 holes using the existing holes in the deck of the work plane. So we're going to use the convert tool. I'm just going to scroll in with the mouse wheel, and I'm going to select the edge of the hole where the bolts go through or the screws go through to create 4 circles. I'm now going to use the corner rectangle, and I'm just going to draw a rectangle over those holes. It doesn't have to be too precise. I'm now going to dimension that, so let's use the dimension tool. If we think of the top left hole here, or as we're looking at it, top right hole, I suppose, if we spin the deck around, this hole here, that's where we're going to take our dimensions from, and we'll go from the center of the hole. So I'm going to go from the center of the hole to the line nearest to it, click to place the dimension, and that dimension wants to be 5.5mm. And we'll now do the same with the center of the hole and the line above, and that wants to be 6mm. And we'll now dimension the whole size of the rectangle. So we'll use the dimension tool, we'll click on the 2 sides, and we'll make that 53mm across, so enter 53 on the keyboard, and we'll click at the 2 short edges to get the length, and that's going to be 75mm. So enter. So if I spin this around using the right mouse button held down, you can see that we've got a sketch on the work plane that's just below the surface, and we're now going to create the part. And because the deck of the skateboard isn't perfectly flat, we want our gasket to take the shape of the deck. So to do that, we're going to extrude this sketch up to the part. So use the extrude tool. We're going to create a new part for this, and in terms of the end type, I'm going to left click on there and make that go up to part. If I just spin that around, you can see that we now need to select the part. So up to surface, all part. In that box, make sure it's highlighted, and then we select the deck, and you can see that it extrudes up to that part. That's what we want. Left tick to create the part. So over here now we've got our first 2 parts. Let's just do a little bit of quick renaming. So I'm going to right click on part 1, left click on rename, and I'm going to change that to deck. And part 2, I'm going to right click and I'm going to rename that, and I'm going to call it truck gasket. And while we're doing that, I'm going to rename the part studio as well, because we're going to create another part studio in another video. So I'm going to right click on the part studio 1, rename that, and just call that deck, so it's for the deck parts as well. And that's it. That's all we needed to do to create that part. And when we do an assembly and we put the other end in, we just need to flip that around so it's sort of flipped 180 degrees so it fits the same contour of the deck on that side. Thanks for watching. I'll see you again in the next video.